Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to review the 4-3-3 false 9 formation in regards to the types of players you're going to want to have in your team and in regards to how the formation moves in game. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the fullbacks. If you guys have watched the 4-2-3-1 video, I let people know all the time that I think that pace, dribbling, and passing, as well as good base defensive stats is very, very important for fullbacks to be good this year. Now, with a player like Marcelo, you are taking a little bit of a risk, so you could definitely use someone like Alex Telles with his high work rates, although Alex Telles is not going to be as agile dribbling in regards to moving into certain spaces. But does he work really well in the balance instruction just on the shadow chemistry style? He definitely does. So on the left side position, you can definitely go to Telles or Marcelo, really up to you in regards to the risk you want to take. But with fullbacks, guys, very, very important to have good fullbacks in this game. You could definitely use like cheap options like Yuri and Kappa, but those guys are going to be missing that attacking presence whenever you need them to actually be good at attacking. Now, in regards to instructions and tactics in the game, starting off with the formation, which I think is always very good to understand, because in this game, you can't just like jump into certain tactics and instructions and it just like works for you right away, right? But I'm going to show you guys the base stuff that you should be using, right? So the 4-3-3 false 9 is going to be on balance as well, 5 and 5, 5 and 5. In regards to how the team performs in game, you will see that I have the fullbacks on balanced instructions, the CDM on cut, pass lane, stay back while attacking, cover center. The center mids are not touched, so they have cover wing on them. The left wing and right wing, I like to have them on cut inside right away. Do have to switch the positions. I have both of these guys here. For the team that I currently have, it's not like completely balanced in regards to the players that I have, but we'll just work with what we have right now for this squad, because I'll show you guys the other team afterwards. But in regards to the wingers, we have them on cut inside because of the variable with the fullback. So as you guys know, I've mentioned a lot this year that it is very, very important to have a good dynamic between your fullbacks as well as your wingers in regards to breaking down defense because of fullbacks overcommitting. So in this game, the reason why I have the fullbacks on overlap on balance instructions is because I want them to utilize the side positions. I very rarely want my fullbacks to be inverted in regards to making those inside runs, because of the fact that if I were to lose possession of the ball, I feel like they don't really track back into their original position quick enough, right? However, if I use them on overlap and they stay on the sides, I feel like when I lose possession of the ball and they have those high work rates or great defensive capabilities, they actually run back in the defensive areas very quickly. Now, the variable between the overlap instruction and the cut inside instruction for basic stuff, just to start the game off with, is because when you are attacking with this team, right, and your right winger or left winger are cutting inside, it actually gives space for your fullback to utilize those side positions very quickly. So what you can actually do with a team like this is you can actually tell them, right, for the crosses to get into the box for the cross and to cut inside. Those two instructions together would work really well. Reason being for this is because if he cuts inside and he's also going into the box, he will position himself very well inside the 18-yard box to receive the pass from the fullback when he overlaps that play. Another good thing is when I'm overlapping with the fullback, I can actually utilize the top position or bottom position, depending on where you are, with your other winger where he's actually getting into the box for the cross. The cut inside instruction is more noticeable when you are building up the play with your midfielders as well as your striker for the false 9. Now, in regards to fullbacks and wingers, that's what I would start off with, right? A thing that you can definitely try out for the wingers is to keep the wingers on balance instructions and then to also have the fullbacks on balance instructions as well. But what you'll notice when you do this is they stick together really closely, right? They don't really move off each other really well unless you have good quality players. For instance, Ansu Fati's left wing card, playing in the left wing position on just balanced instructions, moves all over the pitch really nicely. So if I were to have my Haps, for instance, on overlap instruction and Ansu Fati up the top over here, without cut inside or get into the box, just balanced instructions, it would work well because Ansu Fati's base characteristic is to move all over the pitch when playing in the left wing position. And for me personally, as you guys know, I prefer to have my players on balanced instructions and for them to play to their base characteristics that are good enough to play in my squad. I think it's very, very important. Now, another variable with the wingers overcommitting in this formation, the way that it's set up with overlap, is having your center mids on cover wing balanced instructions. Now, the reason why you like to have them on balanced instruction, and you guys will notice with some of the highlights that we show later after I explain the tactics and instructions, is the attacking threat that these guys offer when committing forward in the attack, right? What happens is that your center mids are actually a very vital part in regards to attacking with the striker that you have up top, depending on how you're building up the play. So with Richarlison's card, I don't actually have this in general. It's usually just on balance instructions. With Richarlison's card, I have him on basic instructions. Richarlison's base characteristic is to go to the side and get in behind. That's what he loves to do. In a 4-3-3, he feels very similar in that regard as well. So when players do that, when Richarlison is coming back and receiving the ball, you have to rely on your center mids to commit forward in the attacking areas to score some opportunities, right? Now, what I've noticed in this year's game is, let's just say, for instance, you have Alon on your team and then you have Llorente in your team, but somehow you were able to put like Gareth Bale in your team as well. I've actually noticed that in the CDM position, it's important to have a player like Alon with the medium-high work rates and Llorente, on, for instance, or Fred on the left or right side with the high work rates, attacking and defensive characteristics. But a player like, it doesn't even matter, it could be Porto, right? An attacking threat that's not as defensive is actually a really good balance in your team because of that extra attacking threat that he offers. Sometimes when you use center mids that are high work rates, they're kind of like indecisive in regards to attacking or defending. But when you have a center mid that actually loves to attack, like someone like Gareth Bale, who, you know, in the right center mid position or left center mid position will utilize that empty space quickly, it's very nice because he may not have crazy defensive stats, but he has the physical concept. He has the pace concept, especially with the Hunter chemistry style. So it just offers this good attacking presence in your team, because I've noticed that this is a thing, because when I use Promise as a center mid in like a basic 4-3-3 or even in this 4-3-3 false 9, he moves across the pitch really nicely for the attacking areas. Like, yeah, maybe not so great defensively, but I focus Alon and Tonali the most when it comes to defensive qualities, because if my left center mid decides to go to the wide sides to cover for the fullback that's overcommitting, I still have Alon and the other CDM to block the middle as much as possible. And if I have to always use Alon and, you know, the attacking oriented center mid as well for the middle when I overcommit to the sides, that's fine too. But the important thing for this formation is to have a CDM that is medium high, that has that quality to be able to defend those areas really nicely. Because in the 4-3-3 false 9, you will find yourself open in the middle defensively from time to time. But the attacking presence that the team offers against certain formations and tactics is very helpful. So again, with the center mids, we have them on basic instructions, right? We even have them on cover wing, and it works really well for me personally. Now, the striker, like I said, will depend on the characteristics that you want him to play on the pitch. An ideal thing that you can do with a team like this is to have the striker on stay central, target man, and stay forward. What this does is that when you win the ball in the defensive areas and your, let's just say for instance, your left wingers and right wingers are on balanced instructions, you can lay the ball off to Richarlison, use the attacking AI to use your left winger and right winger to make those runs in behind and score some opportunities, especially if his fullbacks are overcommitting. Now, like I said, guys, these instructions don't always work for every single game that you play, because it really depends on the defensive setup of your opponent's team. If he's using a 4-4-2, a 4-1-2-2, all of these things are very important in regards to deciding whether or not you want to be more defensive oriented or attacking oriented when using these types of formations. So for me personally, I usually like to use the balance instruction, a thing that I like to use a lot because of the balance between the strikers, center mids, and CDMs, because I like them to be really close to each other and kind of work the sides as much as possible, is I actually like to tell my center forward to come back in defense. A player like Richarlison will follow that really well because he's got high work rates. Those high defensive work rates to come back in position to be able to receive the ball from my CDM center mids and then have the wingers to transition forward on the attack is a really nice thing, right? I think it works really well in regards to how the team moves. You don't want to affect his attacking AI too much, so that's why you don't want to always put too much instructions, right? You could decide to give him a drift wide, get in behind instruction because of the setup that you have for your wingers on the cut inside. Because if Richarlison starts to get in behind and get in behind and drift wide, your wingers will actually interpret that as, okay, he's coming to my position, now I have to go into his position, and they start to utilize the middle space as well. So guys, it really depends on how you want to line up with this team, but these are the types of players that you want to have, right? You want to have high, medium, high work rate players playing in the center mid position with at least two defensive, one mainly defensive player, and then one player that's attacking and defensive, and you could use an attacking oriented center mid, but a good balance would be attacking and defensive. But again, like I said, it just causes like this unpredictable movement in regards to the attacking AI. Your wingers, like I said, you know, you can keep them on basic starting off. You can tell them to cut inside to play off of the fullback overlapping. And then your striker, you know, it would be ideal to tell him to come back in defense. If you feel like you're being a little bit congested in the defensive areas when you receive the ball, tell him to stay forward. Or not even to stay forward, but just to be on basic instruction, because he'll play the high work rates that he has really well, as well as the other players, to be able to receive the ball and lay them off to the wingers, right? So I'm going to show you guys some highlights in regards to how my team was moving with the basic instructions, in regards to how my opponent was moving to score some of the opportunities that I scored. Notice the movements from the center mids in the attacking areas, and then notice how the striker moves into certain positions as well. So this team I'm going to show you guys is an idea that you guys could potentially use for a weekend league if you guys can build towards this, and it is this team right over here. It's this copy team. So you'll see that I actually have Douglas Costa, Fred, Marcelo, could be Alex Telles there with the high work rates, and Llorente in the team. So again, Alon, defensive oriented player, high work rates for both Llorente and Fred that can offer you an attacking and defensive presence. We have Richarlison with his high work rates. It would be more ideal to get a player that can dribble the ball better. So maybe a Gabriel Jesus would be the go-to for this particular position. And then we have players like Portu with his high work rates, play on the sides with great base stats, as well as Douglas Costa, who's just a very agile player. You need to give him a chemistry style that boosts his finishing as much as possible, but finishing is the only real problem with this card, because everything else about it is really fun to use, especially if you switch him in-game to the right wing position. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video on this instruction tactics breakdown. We're going to be doing a few of these as the game rolls by with different squad builders in regards to playing in Division 1 or the lower tiers. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. We're going to go ahead and show some highlights, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.
Jesus Navas. It's a weighted pass. Well, possibilities in the centre. Must take the lead here. And they have. You've got to say, it has.
Great goal, chat. Let's go.
Richarlison. Oh, a perfectly timed pass. He might be able to make it through. There it is, and he could scarcely. And the emphasis is on creativity. They do pass the ball with authority. Jesus Navas. Nacho Fernandez. Richarlison. Chance to finish. A goal in the early stages. Precisely.
Nice goal.
Well, disappointing end to the move. Richarlison. It's there for him. And a goal! Marcos Llorente has it. Gabriel Jesus. Well, now in a dangerous position. Fred. Is it going to be? And a goal to open the score. So the ball is what it's all about for them. Gabriel Jesus. Marcos Llorente. It must go in, surely. Oh, that is extraordinary.
That was nice, chat. That was nice.
Gabriel Jesus. Oh, that's a well-timed pass. And a goal! They're going to take some stopping.